So Nicholas, you've done some work around compliance among your client base in the first 3 months since the sulphur cap entered into force.
Yes.
What have you found?
Well, we found that the majority of respondents were well prepared for the upcoming requirements for the carriage prohibition amendments. In terms of actual numbers, I think we've gotten close to an 80% response rate, which is of course very good for an unannounced and informal survey. Again, the response rates are very good. The compliance rates shown that the majority of the fleet was ready for the entry into force of the carriage prohibition amendments, and there were really only a handful of areas which indicated some difficulties, but those numbers were really quite small. It was less than 1%, and many of the instances where difficulties were encountered were really a bit beyond the control of the ship owners concerned. It was really due to other extenuating circumstances.
So those issues would include?
Things such as, let's say, a vessel that's in layup and is in a location where they're unable to debunker the non-compliant fuel, and future arrangements are not entirely clear. Another examples would be where a vessel was recently taken, or ownership was recently taken from a previous owner, which had not undertaken extensive preparations in advance for preparing for compliance with the carriage prohibition amendments. So even though the ship is compliant with the 0.5% standard after the 1st of January, there's still some amounts of non-compliant fuel on board, and efforts weren't really undertaken to remove or clean those last bits.
So Nick, when you look at the world 3 months after this regulation entered into force, would you say we were overly pessimistic when it comes to installation and operation and governance and risk?
I wouldn't say we were overly pessimistic, mainly because a number of the concerns that were sort of voiced or raised during the development of consistent implementation guidelines, a lot of those concerns I do believe were valid. So the pessimism, I think, was probably more in relation to, again, not knowing exactly what was going to happen, but because of the attention that was given to the issue, and because of having the concerns expressed, elevating awareness of the seriousness of the requirements, that it's sort of proving us wrong, that we saw that the compliance levels were actually very high, and industry was very well prepared. But again, I wouldn't say it was an overly pessimistic view because of the very real concerns that were expressed with regard to the significant change that took place.
And finally, Nick, we're talking at the beginning of the Maritime Air Pollution Conference in the Americas. How have you found the event so far?
I thought the event's terrific. Of course, the location for early March in Miami is absolutely fabulous. After spending time in London and Scotland and a chilly New York, it was a very welcome change. The conference itself is very well organized. It's at a terrific location and seems to be quite well attended. Additionally, I like the format as well, where the audience is live polled, and to actually be able to see the responses as they're coming in, and to even notice trends in how the audience is responding as a whole based on information that's available and up on the screen was actually very fascinating, very interesting to see. So thank you.